So patch 3.0.0 dropped last night, bringing Joker, a new stage builder, and a balance patch. Now, most importantly, it brought Kirby buffs. So today, I'm going to be going over exactly what changed about Kirby and what this means for our little boy going forward. Now, before you get too excited, these changes don't bring Kirby from low tier to top tier or anything like that, but they will slightly alter how you should be playing Kirby if you want to get the best results. Now, before I get into the direct Kirby buffs, I should also mention some of the indirect buffs. If you look at the change list from Nintendo, you'll see a ton of entries that say reduce power damage versus shields for nearly every projectile. Another universal change was that you have less lag after parrying a projectile. This is great for Kirby because he often struggles against people zoning you out with their projectiles, so being able to shield them a little bit more reliably without having to worry about your shield getting absolutely busted is fantastic. Also, when you continuously roll an air dodge, you get punished even more now, but this doesn't affect Kirby more than any other character. So some copy abilities also got changes, and those affect Kirby when he gets their power. So basically, anyone with a projectile has reduced damage against shields, like I mentioned before. However, some things got buffed. The range of Giant Punch, PK Flash, Batui, all those got increased. Sheik's Needles now charge faster, Wario's Chomp is better at eating projectiles, and Corrin's uncharged Fang Shot has a longer duration. Also, another tiny little nerf is that you can't stall with Peach or Daisy's counter in the air more than once anymore. Now, we also have Joker's power, which is his gun. Now, this gun can be used to jab lock, and does the same amount of damage close range as a down tilt. So you can use it interchangeably with down tilt, however, the first active frame is later than down tilt, but you are still able to get a forward smash off in time. So really, it's not optimal to go for, but if you ever want to be flashy, you can use that. Now, you also have the Waveland technique that Joker has, but I expect that to be patched out sometime in the future, but I guess you can't really say for sure. You can do this by inputting a full hop and then waiting just a tiny bit and then pressing B. Then right before you land, you input the direction that you want to go. Then you are able to wave land and do some crazy stuff with it. The timing is pretty strict, but I think it can be pretty useful in the matchup. Okay, now finally onto the actual Kirby buffs. First off, down throw does slightly more damage. It went from, I believe, 12.8% to 15.1% when fresh in a 1v1 match. So when you get a grab at those mid to high percents, you're still going to be going for down throw, but you're going to be getting a little more reward from it. Also, something to note is 15.1% is significant because it's the same amount of damage that you do when you get forward throw to up B, when you get all of the hits of the up B minus the projectile at the end. So now with those weird percents somewhere around 50 or 60%, you don't need to go for forward throw to up B and risk your opponent DIing away and avoiding it and punishing you. You can now just go for down throw and be safe. Now normally when you increase the damage output of a move, you also increase a knockback because it's part of the knockback formula. But since down throw is a multi-hit move, the only parts of the move that got increased were the kicks itself, and the finisher is the same. So this means it should technically kill 2.3% earlier than before, since the opponent is at 2% higher when they get hit by the final move. But this doesn't really matter much because up throw is going to be killing earlier in pretty much every situation. Another fix that is absolutely incredible is the copy ability RNG getting fixed, or at least improved. Now, Nintendo didn't give us the specifics, so we're pretty much going to have to wait for the data miners to figure out the exact changes, but you should be losing your power much less often, which is huge. Now, the changelog also made it seem like there was a minimum amount of time that had to pass before we can lose the ability, which also is incredible. So really, there's a lot less risk involved in trying to get your opponent's ability, which is something we've desperately been asking for. So while the forward throw landing on platforms isn't fixed, this is probably the other big change about Kirby that definitely needed some attention, so thank you Nintendo for that. Another great buff is the Kirby's up smash. Now if you watch a lot of my videos, you'll see that I rarely go for up smash at all. Now there are certain matchups like Peach where I use it a bit more frequently, but it really is a move I don't use too much. This is mostly because catching an opponent landing with the sweet spot of the move can often be difficult, and I find myself not getting the sweet spot and getting the sour spot, which almost never kills and can be very frustrating. So I often try and just anti-air with up tilt even when they're at pretty high percents and up smash is going to kill. So the move is active from frame 12 to 17, which didn't change at all. However, the sweet spot before was only on frame 12, the first sour spot was on frames 13 and 14, and then the really bad sour spot was from frames 15 to 17. Now they changed it so the sweet spot now lasts 3 frames, the first sour spot lasts 2, and the second sour spot is only 1. So basically they took 2 of the 3 sour spots from the last one and then moved it to the front. This is huge for us because part of the problem was Kirby sort of had a blind spot in the later back hit of the move, so character basically had to be right over you when you hit the move, but now it'll hit a little behind you better as well, and really it's just a better move overall. I don't exactly know to what extent it's better, but I will definitely be using it a lot more, especially in matchups against characters where you can kind of just call out their aerials and their landings. Final Cutter got a very nice buff in that it now snaps to the ledge 3 frames earlier. It used to snap on frame 36, and now it does on frame 33. It can be a little hard to understand exactly what's happening in real time, so here's a side-by-side frame analysis from the last patch to this patch. You can see in the new version that you snap slightly earlier, so basically these 3 frames are now just gone when you're in range of the ledge. You might not think this is a huge deal since the 3-frame buff is less than a 10% change, but you have to remember that Kirby doesn't start moving up towards the ledge until about frame 20 or so. So this really means from when you start moving up, you snap to the ledge around frame 16 instead of frame 13, which is a pretty significant difference, leaving you vulnerable for a bit less time. Now last you have Neutral Air. First off, you can now auto-cancel starting on frame 51. I think it was 55 before, so this now means you can do a full hop neutral air and auto-cancel it. But more significantly, the first active frame of the move has been changed from frame 63 to frame 55. This means you can act out of the move quicker after using it when you're in the air. Now before I would have rarely suggested using the move without landing. If you tried to go for a down air off stage to try and spike your opponent and accidentally did a fast fall neutral air, you were left in a horrible position, often getting straight to the blast zone before being able to recover. To sort of visualize the change, before you would have to jump 3 times before being able to do neutral air and do anything before landing. Now you only need to jump twice before being able to act out of it. And just like before, don't think of this as like a 13% buff when you compare 55 to 63. Remember that the move has a hitbox from frames 10 to 34, meaning you really went from 29 frames before being able to act out of it to 21, which is closer to like a 25% buff. This means you can use it off stage a little better than before, and you don't have to freak out as much if you fast fall it on accident off stage. You can also sort of use it to edge guard as well, so if you hold onto the ledge, drop down to a neutral air, you can have just a long active hitbox for an opponent who is recovering. So overall, Kirby got a lot of buffs, and while they may not be absolutely game-changing, this is definitely a good sign and should make the character a little less frustrating to play as, especially with a nerf to projectiles. Also, shout out to the Kirby Discord for finding all the information and compiling it incredibly quickly. I was planning on doing it myself, but it took about 3 hours before I was actually finally able to download the patch. So thank you guys for figuring it all out and putting all the information out there. Best of luck in playing the little puffball. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.